From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoudinger.
Welcome, everybody, to Co-Angler's Corner. I'm John.
How y'all are? Cajun Rob here, hanging with you in the middle of Kentucky in the middle of storms. So if I lose you for a minute, I'll be back, man. It's getting pretty hairy here.
Yeah, that's all. That how y'all are gets me every time. We have a special guest. A very I'm honored to have him on the show. He deals with electronics and aftermarket accessories, batteries, power poles, or shallow water anchor, because there's more than one. So I want to bring on Kevin McGibney. He owns K&K Kustomz. So we'll bring him on right now, and let's get this going.
Let's do it, man. Looking forward to it.
How are you, Rob and John? Nice to see you.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Good. Happy to be here.
Excellent.
Man.
So if you don't mind starting off, telling us a little bit about how you got your business started and
so how I got started. I owned a hydrographics company started it in 2011. One of the things we used to do a lot in the marine industry as far as the hydro dipping goes. One of the big things that we started with and we kind of brought to light was the dipping of the Lowrance screen covers to match your boat. And then from there, we started with Power Pole. I actually called up Power Pole one day and said that I wanted to be a dealer for them. And they basically said my geographic location didn't really work out well and that I would probably not sell any power poles. And they turned me down a couple times. I finally basically begged them. I said, listen, I'll tell you what, you make me a dealer and in 3 years, I will be one of your largest dealers in the country. And they laughed, and it took me about 4, and I perpetually in the top 3 out of like 1,200 dealers for Power Pole.
Wow.
That's how we got started. And then the Power Pole Charge came out, the charging system that Power Pole designed. And with that, people were starting to transfer over to lithium. So I saw a need. People were saying, hey, listen, I want to buy the Charge. Do you sell lithium? I said, no, I don't sell lithium. So I decided that I had to partner with a lithium company. Got partnered with one lithium company. That didn't really work out or end very well. Got with another lithium company now that I'm currently with, which is Powerhouse Lithium. Great folks, great line of products, great customer service. Warranty is top notch. So got started with them. So I was selling Powerhouse and lithiums and power poles. And then we had a lot of feedback from our customers that said, listen, you're selling power poles, you're selling me lithium. You got great customer service. I just want to buy everything for my boat from you. And I had a lot of friends in the electronics industry and in the marine industry, Russell Marine Products, Justin Russell, a few others. And I didn't really want to get into the electronics end because of that. Just didn't want that. And then I just decided that, I kept getting asked over and over again, please, can you just sell me everything I need to equip my boat? And we did that starting 2 years ago. And now we basically sell every brand out there.
Man, that's nice, man. That's huge.
We've also been slowly developing some of our own products for the industry, which is kind of unique. Sometimes when we see a need in the industry and there's not a product there, for instance, the Ultrex Quest came out and Minn Kota decided to make their shaft now a 4-sided square shaft with one rounded side. which is non-traditional. Traditionally, trolling motors always had a round shaft.
Yep.
So people weren't able to mount their LVS 34, 32 active target transducers to it effectively. So we had to come up R&D and came up with a solution for that. So to utilize, your existing bracketry and then be able to bolt that to the Ultrex Quest. So that's one item we've come out with that's taken off really well. We have the clips and keepers. We have actually a power pole light, which we're kind of excited about. That's coming out next week. It is not only for power pole. What's unique about it is one light that fits all models of shallow water anchor except for the Talon in one light. So you need to buy one light, whether you have Raptors on your boat, you have power poles, you have Pro 2, Sportsman's, Blades. This one light will fit every model. And the nice thing about it is unlike a lot of other lights, we can turn these in big amounts, so we shouldn't be ever out of stock.
Nice,
man.
Just want to say hello to Rick Amato, saying hi to all of us.
Hey, Rick.
Rick, I don't
How
think it's missed. Now, we were talking prior to the show, and you surprised me because your point of view on the forward-facing sonar is basically the same as mine. Would you like to share with the audience that?
So like I was talking when we were talking, I believe that it needs to be limited. Does not need to be banned. I don't think, holding back technology is the right thing to do, but I think limiting technology is where it needs to be. And somebody in my position, you would probably not expect to say that because obviously we're in sales of electronic equipment. So, the more we sell, the more profitable a company is, more money we make. But I do feel that it needs to be limited. I mean, I'm a tournament fisherman as well as a business owner in this industry, but I do think there needs to be some limitations set.
Yeah. And you're a pretty good camera boat too, by the way.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. So I have been known to run a camera boat for Kyle Patrick when he was in the Opens. I've also have done a few this year. Not particularly. I've been in the camera boat. Hasn't actually been my boat, but I've been in the camera boat. So at the Classic, I was also just down in Florida at St. John's, and I believe I was somewhere else. I can't even remember. Been traveling a lot this year.
Well, that's good for you.
Yeah.
All right. Barking Ruger says, pump the brakes for a second to clarify. Do you mean limited for tournament use or all around usage privately?
Not privately. I believe in not tournament. I guess I should say tournament use. Yes, all tournaments. I think it starts with the major ones: MLF, BASS, NPFL. I think there needs to be, in my opinion, I think we need to go to a screen inch limitation with total amount of screen, whether that be 62 inches total on a boat, and you break that up whatever way you want. And then as far as forward-facing sonar transducers, I believe really you need one, possibly two. I think the need for 5 is ridiculous. Is it nice to have? Yes. Is it necessary? No. I honestly think one forward-facing sonar transducer, one regular 3-in-1 transducer, or a 2-in-1 transducer with a shoot through the hull transducer. So 3 total transducers and then a screen limitation. Now, obviously, that carries down to your local tournaments or something. I probably never will, but I think that's where it needs to head in professional fishing. The Opens as well, any of the Tackle Warehouse Pro Series, that sort of things. As far as BFLs go and things like that, the Toyota, I don't know if they'll do something like that, but my guess is it starts at the top and then it will trickle down through the different leagues.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you limit it to the top, it's gonna. I believe you were right, and I think it'll limit it to the bottom.
Right.
You know,
Right.
everybody's just, I won't say everybody, but most of the guys fishing the opens are aspiring to be pros, and you can see that with the numbers.
Exactly.
So,
And we're, I'm very, in with a lot of the Elite Series guys, a lot of the Opens guys. They pretty much all share the same sentiment. There are a few of the Elite Series pros. I do know a lot of MLF guys. I don't talk to them as much as I talk to the Elite Series guys, but there's a few of the Elite Series guys that would love to see it just be banned and go away, obviously. But the general consensus, I believe, of most of the Elite Series guys is they would have no problem with limitations on it, for sure.
I agree there. Rick Amato says too many holes in the boat.
Too many holes in the boat. Yeah, I mean, we keep throwing holes. Guys ask me all the time. They're like, about mountain power poles and stuff. And we direct transom mount them, and I'm like, I'm not a fan of drilling holes in boats where it's not necessary. So
yeah, there should only be one additional hole, and that's for the GPS puck.
right, absolutely.
Barking. How about safety mandates by official sources? Say the Coast Guard, for instance. Preventing mounting graphs in front of driver's line of sight.
Eyeline, yeah.
So, a lot of people don't know this. BASS, first tournament of the year, goes around and actually measures and takes a height of the screens, actually from the seat to where the screens sit. And if I don't know as if they made anybody change anything this year, but if they were to find it where it was, say, obstruction of view, or they thought it was causing a dangerous situation, they will make them change it. So that is not so much, I don't think, a Coast Guard deal, but I know at least BASS does look at that.
Kyle Patrick says, "Let's go, Kev."
let's go, Kyle. Good luck tomorrow. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Stay safe and catch some fish.
Yes. And, praying to the bass gods for big bags for KGP tomorrow.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I want to congratulate him on his excellent finish in the that one small tournament they had a couple weeks ago, the Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah, that's just a tiny little tournament.
Yeah, little club tournament.
Yeah.
No, he's a great guy, great fisherman, and I'm happy that he got to reach his goal of making the elites and fishing in a classic. So
for sure.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions for Kevin as far as graphs or what they think they should do or anything like that, he's willing to answer anything.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Now, quick question. I noticed the kayak guys are really getting into the graphing. Have you done any kayaks yet with the graphs and stuff yet?
Have not personally that I know of. A lot of our clientele, bass boats, walleye boats. We do some offshore boats, but there could be some kayak guys buying equipment from us, but we haven't specifically really focused in on that market as far as kayaks go. I mean, the industry it's very big, but it's very small. People say that all the time about the marine industry. We just as a company are kind of known in the bass boat world. And that's kind of where we spend our time focusing on. Not saying that we wouldn't get into the kayak market of equipment, but the equipment across the same, whether it be a bass boat or offshore is a little bit different with radars and things like that. But as far as kayaks, bass boats, I see guys with these kayaks. I mean, they've got forward-facing sonar poles. They've got Mega 360s hanging off the side. They've got twin graphs on them. So they're just about as decked out as a bass boat is. They just got a little less real estate to work with.
Absolutely.
Our buddy Barking Rugers asks if you've ever installed night eye camera. He forgets the actual name, but it seems to have an excellent night driving capabilities.
I have seen it. Have never installed one. But I have seen the advertisements for it. But no, I have personally not got into that or installed one. We don't do, honestly, a lot of installs here. We do a few here and there. I honestly don't like to do installs. So we try to stay out of the whole rigging install, all business side of it. It's mainly just equipment sales.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Radar was going to be my next question. Do you have one that you would see the smallest log sticking out of the water? now he's so far south in Louisiana. He sniffs Cuba.
If he's any further south, he'd have been a fish.
Andrew Pulliam says, "Is there a trolling motor that has the 360 transducer inside the motor shaft, or do you know if that's in the works?"
So as far as a 360, no. Lowrance came out with the 3-in-1 nose cone, which has basically, it's an update for Lowrance Lives or the Pros, where you can have 360. The problem with it is your trolling motor has to be totally stationary in order to have non-distorted 360 imaging. That's why Humminbird has theirs on a separate pole, because that transducer is basically constantly rotating. If you think about a radar unit on the top of a boat, it's basically a radar unit. It's just a spinning side imaging transducer that's on a pole. So when you take that and you try to incorporate it into a trolling motor that you're constantly moving, you're never going to be able to get great imaging.
All
the inductance going on.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Makes
Parking
sense.
Ruger's basically just said he's so far south that, and there ain't enough water for a duck to wash his butt.
Oh man! No, Kevin, what do you see in the future? The next big thing in sonar and radar. What do you think in the horizon you see coming up in the near future?
I do believe they're working on live 360 imaging. The problem I see with that is powering it. The amount of power that it would take to power something like that. But, obviously if it does come out, I believe Garmin will be on top of it. I've heard some things, obviously, some things I can't say, but
yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that might be where we're headed. Obviously, some better, clearer, forward-facing sonar transducers. I believe Hummingbird's obviously working on a new one with a black box. So they should start to be maybe a player in the game as far as forward-facing goes.
Yep.
I think Garmin's always going to be probably that step ahead. But I think that's where it's going to is, forward facing. I mean, it's constantly, I think they're just going to keep pouring more and more money into R&D into the forward facing market. And like I say, and with that, the better it gets to that calls also to for some limitations on it as well.
Yeah.
Do you see Aquaview jumping into that game?
I think Aquaview is already, I don't know if Aquaview as far as in the forward-facing sonar arena, I don't think they're a big enough company to get involved with the money it takes for forward-facing sonar.
No.
But Aquaview has definitely really come into play, I think, a lot in the last couple of years. I think it was kind of one of those little hidden secrets that guys were using. And I think the secret's starting to get out. And the nice thing too is a lot of, it's coupled with forward facing sonar is you can drop that camera down and then you can tell exactly what species you're looking at. I know obviously there are some guys just are so good with their forward facing, they can tell, whether it's a bass, whether it's, this or that species of fish. But I think having the Aquaview, really, you can drop down and you can say, yeah, those are smallmouth or those are walleye, or, you definitely can see what species. So
Yeah.
I think that the AquaView camera has become more prevalent and useful now with forward-facing sonar.
Yeah, definitely. I think forward-facing sonar has opened all our eyes. How fish just suspend out, over 100 foot of water, and they'll be 4, 5, 8 foot deep, just sitting there. No cover, no shad. So it's opened our eyes for fish behavior for sure.
For sure. The knowledge now that we're gaining and we're starting to see, and what we thought, was true about a certain species of fish and how they related to structure and, where they were at certain times of year. And we're finding out that, maybe it wasn't as we thought, to speak. There's guys, catching largemouth over 60 feet of water that are, they're just suspended in 10 and they're chasing bait, whereas, guys were never fishing for them in those areas before.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Michael Hunt says, can't wait. Plan on ordering poles or raptors next week or two.
Absolutely. We'd be happy to help you out. So we are the largest shallow water anchor dealer in the country. We have the largest in stock supply of them. Free shipping, no tax, free shipping on anything over $75. But, that's where we got our start was, shallow water anchors, obviously with power pole. We obviously now are selling quite a few raptors as well. We don't sell talons. I know that's not very popular among some people, but we do refuse to sell talons.
Yeah, I know. Being up north, with the paddles, the power pole paddles.
Yes, so the drift paddles.
The drift paddles, that's a big advantage. That a lot better than the old drift sock.
It definitely is better than drift socks. A lot less mess, a lot less fuss, no muss. We have a bracket coming out that we're working on right now to utilize Power Pole's drift paddles on Raptors. There is a current company currently out there that has a bracket. However, they don't market it very well, I don't believe. And I think obviously with us being, the largest shallow water anchor dealer, that's something you're going to start to see is a lot of drift paddles being utilized on Raptors once our bracket comes out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, do you see an advantage from one shallow water anchor to another?
That is a good question. They're both good as far as the hydraulic options from each. Not talking putting talons aside, not talking about them. I think there's benefits to one and some benefits to the other. I think Power Pole's been in the game, 26, 27 years. They're the originator of the hydraulic shallow water anchor. Their customer support is second to none. They just came out with the new blades with the one pump system, which is kind of exciting. Brushless motor, 18 decibels quieter than they've ever been due to that brushless motor. Some other new unique features with them, but frees up some room in the boat. Only having the one pump in there. All billet aluminum manifold now on it. So there's a lot of nice things. So they're progressing. Obviously with Raptor, you have the non-active anchoring, you have active anchoring. To each his own, I guess. My opinion of active anchoring personally is it's more noise, more pump wear for an unnecessary feature. But that's just my personal opinion. We sell a lot of Raptors for sure.
Okay. Now, since this is Co-Anglers Corner and Rob and I are both co-anglers, have you had requests from co-anglers about forward-facing sonar or how they would carry them on the boat? Because we know one or two that
I personally I haven't. No, I mean, I've been following that whole trend of the co-anglers with forward facing. I know obviously from running, Kyle's camera boat. When we have forward facing sonar, we're turning the pinging of all our transducers off when we're running a camera boat. And what's funny is sometimes, we might be far away trying to catch up or whatever. And, I'll turn them on. And if we get within, I would say 30 yards of Kyle, he'll actually, it's funny because he'll say, do you have your transducers pinging? He says, I'm getting interference. So in my mind, with all of that said, is when you have a co-angler on the back with their own forward facing sonar unit, I don't think it's going to go over well with pros due to the interference it's causing on their forward facing sonar. So I think, I'm not positive, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but I don't believe BASS allows co-anglers to have their own forward facing sonar unit. I'm
not sure, but I know you're not supposed to have GPS units.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's kind of a gray area there.
Yeah. It's kind of funny.
I had talked to a couple of co's, and they had told me that it was against the rules to have your own forward facing sonar unit. But like I say, I never saw a rule. That's just basically what they told me. I don't know if it's hearsay or what, but I could see how it could be from a co-angler perspective, beneficial to you all. But at the same time, if you're causing interference with that pro's forward facing sonar unit, I'm sure he is not going to be too happy and possibly tell you to turn it off.
Yeah, well, we got enough to carry already. I mean, sometimes we have to hike a mile or two for the parking lot to get over there. So, guys like us, man, we can't keep carrying all that stuff.
for sure. And I don't think too, when a pro is hooked up, obviously, it's his boat. He's fighting a fish. Yep. He doesn't want to be tripping over your stuff on the back deck. So to be adding more and more of that stuff to the boat as a co-angler, like I say, I think that's one of the things where you're not even going to say limitations on it. I just think that you may see a ban on, so to speak, or a rule against. And then nothing against co-anglers. I'm a co-angler a lot of time on the back of Kyle's boat. We fish tournaments together. But obviously those are partner tournaments, so we're not competing against each other. But I don't see a place for forward facing sonar for co-anglers. Like you said, I mean, you have enough equipment to bring. I mean, hauling everything down to a boat, it just becomes, I think, not practical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rick Amato says he has a lot of talons on the bottom of the St. Lawrence River. And Michael Hunt's curious about the Raptor customer service.
Raptor customer service has been pretty good. I don't think anybody is going to be as good as PowerPole. Their level of customer service, not even in the marine industry, but just in any industry in general, is phenomenal. I have been impressed with Minn Kota's side of Raptor's customer service, so to speak. We'll call it Raptor's customer service, but that side of it, I've had my customers that have had problems, and I like to always follow up too. With my customers, they'll call me and I'll refer them to the proper channel as far as Minn Kota goes or PowerPole, give them a number to call. But I always tell them to follow back with me because I like to know with the products that I'm selling, how that particular company is taking care of not my customers, but also their customers. So
absolutely,
my reports that I've gotten back from guys who have had problems with Raptors is it's been very good. And Minn Kota was always famous for sending you to an ASC certified warranty center for every little problem that you had, especially with the Talon product. But it seems like now they're kind of taking maybe a page out of PowerPole's playbook and shipping you a pump if you have a problem early in the stages, rather than saying, okay, you just installed your Raptors and now your pump's not working. Go make an appointment with a ASC certified warranty center. They're actually saying, hey, yeah, let's ship you a new pump. So I think it's been good, to answer your question.
Cool.
Andrew Pulliam says he was a co-angler for a long time. He hates the idea of the co-angler having a forward-facing sonar. The boater's going to be looking for the fish with theirs, and the co-angler is looking too. Whose fish are they? It's a fight waiting to happen.
And that's true, right? Because, say you've got that pole off the side of the boat, and, I know from, just even a regular tournament, even fishing a partners tournament, we kind of draw a line right at the console, across the boat. And, from the console forward is the guy in the front of the boats, and from the console back is the guy in the back of the boat. So, if you've got that forward facing sonar now, transducer pointed, 60 feet out to the side front of that guy's boat, and you start casting out to those fish, and then he's turning and he's casting it's going to wind up being a problem. I think the easiest thing to do is just say no to forward facing units as far as co-anglers goes with bringing their own.
I agree.
And I think the pros are just going to say, listen, if you don't do something about this, I'm not, if a guy brings a forward facing sonar unit on my boat, there's going to be a problem. And I think it's just going to cause so many problems. They'll just jump ahead of it and say no. Like I say, it could be that Bass already has that rule in place. So,
I mean, I'm not fishing any opens this year, so I didn't look at the rules, because I usually read all the rules of the tournaments that I am going to fish. Only because I don't want to be in trouble because of something stupid.
Right.
I could have prevented this start with. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, running a camera, you run a camera boat for Kyle when you can. If you're within a certain distance from Kyle, he can tell the interference.
That's what I'm saying. Like usually within 30 yards of his boat, he will know that it's causing interference. So I mean, it's just like, when you have a sonar unit pinging on the back of your boat that's on the same frequency as your forward facing sonar unit, you're turning that off if you want the best clarity out of that forward facing sonar on the front of the boat. So, when you've got two, say, LVS 34s on the same frequency and they're 15 feet apart, say from the trolling motor to where he has it on the side of the boats, right, is roughly 15 feet. It's going to cause some major interference for both of you. And, the pros are just not going to deal with that.
Yeah. And you can't blame them.
No, you can't blame them, right? I mean, it's their boat. It's their, they're paying the bigger entry fee. Obviously, co-angler's supposed to throw them some money for gas and stuff. That doesn't always happen. But, at the end of the day, that's their, $80,000 to $160,000 boat. And it's their entry fee, and what's at stake for them too, especially say that like the opens, these guys are trying, if they're fishing all 9 and fishing the EQs, they're trying to make it to that next level.
Absolutely.
And it's very, very hard to do, and they certainly don't need a co-angler, having interference, creating interference with their forward facing. Sometimes it's bad enough with some of the co-anglers, with just casting towards the front of the boat, or, guy I've heard many stories, guy catches a male on a bed and he's fighting the male, and, next thing you know, while he's fighting the male, a line goes to the front of the boat, on that bed, and the co-angler's hooking the female. I've heard of a lot. Like I say, I know a lot of opens guys. I sponsor a lot of opens guys. I hear the stories, and they're not all bad. I also hear the good stories about good co-anglers, and I think there is more good co-anglers than there are bad out there, but there are some bad apples for sure.
Yeah. And there are some co-anglers that feel bad for catching fish that were targeted
For
by
sure.
the
For sure. I know
We
I
know
know a
one.
particular one of those for sure.
and
Seen it out of my camera boat, yes.
I was generally I felt so bad, but no, I'm
That's
glad
fishing. That's fishing though, right? I mean, you can't control that, right? I mean, like, you didn't cast ahead of the boat. You were fishing your fishable water and you just happened to catch that fish. But, that's what happens.
I'm just glad it didn't hurt him in the long run. But.
Let's face it, you guys are paying entry fees, and you're there to compete as well. You just have to do it from a respectful level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. But I asked Ben Milliken one time if I got behind a live scope or what to do. He had a good point. He said, a lot of times your boater will be pulling a fish in. And he's got a bunch of followers. He said, drop a drop shot down, about 10 foot, and one of them will come by and see that and grab it. So that's a pretty good point.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
Now, with your going along with the interference of the forward face sonar, how is that when two elite guys are in the same area? I mean,
that is what it is, right? I mean,
I know, but I mean, there's got to be some interference there.
Oh, there is for sure. I mean, it's no different than, say, us being on the camera boat and being 30 yards away from Kyle when you've got, a guy 30 yards to your port and 30 yards to your starboard side, all with forward facing sonar units. It's creating interference, and it's creating interference for all three. And not the interference isn't bad enough to where, you're not being able to see the screen. It's just not as clear, obviously, as it could be. But at that point, Taku's not going to call over to Kyle and tell him to turn his forward facing sonar unit off and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So,
why not?
It's just that's not going to happen. I can tell you that. So
too much on the line.
Yeah, there's too much on the line. That's a big entry fee. I mean, points, the classic. Every point in the Elite Series is very beneficial and crucial. So, it's
it's the same thing with the Opens or the Invitationals in the other division. Other league.
Right.
Every point's crucial.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at Kyle. He didn't qualify for the elites by a lot of points.
Right. Right. Kyle
still made it.
Just kind of snuck in there. The year before he finished just about the same. Of course, they weren't on the whole EQ deal. But I think he was right there at like 10th or 11th for AOI points. And then at that time they only took 3 down on the AOI, and then they took from each division. Whereas now, so, he had a very strong finish the year before. It just was a different format, wasn't the EQs. And then, obviously, he got in there and, thank God he did. Let me tell you, I mean, I've been talking to him, he's very happy to be where he's at, because nobody wants to run that gauntlet of the EQs. And it's just getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. The field's getting stacked, man. It's unbelievable.
It is, and now you have a lot of the MLF guys jumping back into the Opens, trying to qualify for the elites, obviously with the unknown of what's going on with MLF. So, that's, like I say, that's one of those deals where it's just getting harder and harder. So, to get in on the first year of that EQs when they changed the format, I know he's definitely happy to be in the elites.
Yeah.
Then you got all these college guys that's had 4, 6, 8 years of sonar experience, and it shows. I mean, here last year too, it shows.
That's true. I mean, and it's everybody wants to frown on the rookies and say that they can't fish without forward facing sonar, right? I'm close with a lot of those guys that are the rookies on the Elite Series, and let me tell you, if you took their forward facing sonar away, they would be just as good of anglers as they are now.
Very versatile.
They are very versatile. They are sticks. These guys coming through the EQs, they fished high school, they fished college. They're more experienced tournament anglers. And then by BASS now changing that to where you have to fish all 9 to qualify for the elites, you're just bringing a more experienced, well-rounded tournament fisherman that's used to travel, that's used to shorter practices. And it's showing that that's just a different class of guys now that are stepping up. Whereas one guy qualified, nothing against those guys that qualified through one division, but some guys who qualified in the Northeast division, they have never caught a spotted bass in their life. They've never fished lakes way down south. I've been fortunate enough to, fish a little in the South now with Kyle, and, New York tournament fishing or New York bass fishing, is a lot different than fishing down in the South.
Absolutely.
I'd go as far as saying it's easier. I think, our fish are less pressured up here in the North. We have less fishing pressure in general than the lakes down south. It's just harder to catch bass down south.
Yeah. Well, like in Florida, Alabama, you fish all year down there, and guys do.
Absolutely. And I think it shows, and then, with them spraying the grass now in all these lakes, and look at Florida, the weights on these lakes that it's taken, 12 pounds a day, on the Harris chain to cut a check. John, you catch 12 pounds on pretty much any New York water in a tournament, you're down on the bottom of the list. That's pretty much from, I'll just call it the opener, June 15th all the way to, tournaments in early November. It's 20 plus pounds on pretty much any of our lakes in order to even think about, getting a check.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Barking Ruler says going down the rabbit hole, he can see an issue when the stakes are high, where spectator boats start flooding the water with saltwater sonars and to spoof anglers. Yeah, I can see that where, a spectator boat not knowing the limitations of his graphs. He wants to see what the pros seeing.
Oh, yeah.
And I know in situations, and people just generally don't know spectator wise, but I know pros will ask them to shut off their transducers, whether they oblige or not is, that's up to them, obviously. Right. They don't own the water, but, to be respectful, if a pro says to you, hey, can you turn off your transducers? You should respect that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Patrick Lobb says, I apologize on the name if I pronounce it incorrectly. Says MLF Mass Exodus next year.
Yeah, that's right. How you doing, Patrick? Good to see you, bud. But yeah, no, you're already starting to see an exodus, and that ship is sinking fast.
Yeah.
It's
they
just keep changing. They keep changing back and
That's
forth.
The problem. They can't make up their minds. Even the guys that fish it don't know what's going on. Like, what's going to be the format this year? What's going to be the rules this year? How does this work? And, Group A and Group B and the finals and weights get cut. And now we're fishing for 5 fish. And now we're fishing for every fish. And now we're fishing for every fish that's over 2 pounds. And now we're back to every fish over 1 pound. And it makes my head spin. So,
yeah. I would like to see when they come to St. Lawrence, every fish over 4 pounds.
and you could easily do that too. You know that, John. That could easily be done. Every fish over 4 pounds, and it would still be giant weights because honestly, when you go to the St. Lawrence, how often are you really catching under even 3-pound smallmouth. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
You know,
I mean, they're there, but they're not like they used to be.
No, it's weird. It's like they're all big. It's crazy.
Well, look at it. Last year, the elites, when they were up there, 40 pounds wasn't making the cut.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm seeing. I have a feeling this year, the Elite Series tournament there, we are going to see multiple 30-pound bags.
Wow.
Especially day one. I'm just seeing, the reports coming in from, the early, season, the Canadian season, where guys are able to be up there right now. I've seen more pictures of 7 to 7.5 pound smallmouth than I've ever seen before. And obviously it's pre-spawn. But even still, I mean, they're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It is for sure. I mean, Taku named it Smallmouth Disneyland. It really is.
Yeah.
He's good.
Now, do you see a lot of that because of forward-facing sonar, or just
as far as the fish getting bigger, or the bigger fish getting caught? I mean, obviously it's the gobies that have made the fish bigger, but as far as say 30-pound bags, I think it's a combination of forward-facing sonar. And, I think a lot of it has to do now, with the lake being open to the elites, where, a lot of years it wasn't. You had that line kind of drawn right at the mouth of the lake, where now they're allowed to go into the lake. And those lake smallmouth are just, they're a different breed.
Yeah.
And then now being able to target them with forward facing, I think that has contributed to it. For sure.
Yeah. Barking Rouge says, sounds far-fetched, but the past 2 years we've seen a lot of cheating, hole buzzards, and harassers. He wants to see a few more whiner pros have a meltdown. I think it might be coming. And it's funny because I watch a lot of that because I'm involved with a lot of opens and elites guys, and more so, like I say, on BASS side. But I've been seeing the little bit of digs and stuff in the on stage interviews. And I'm waiting the same thing when we see just a complete breakdown, meltdown, somebody's getting fined because of what they said up on stage. Like the old Van Damme Iconelli situation.
Like the Van Damme Iconelli fight. Yeah. On water fight. Yeah. I mean, I think somebody's just going to not just have one of those days where it's just a bad day. He's going to be in the bag line and everybody's talking about how they wrecked him on forward facing. And he's just going to get up there and just kind of have diarrhea of the mouth and not be able to contain himself. And I think, just kind of say I have that feeling it's coming, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they show more restraint than that. But I know a few of them.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, I know a few of them out there that's, their career or their job's on the line, and, they're feeling that pressure.
Absolutely.
And they're the ones leading the movement to have it banned, but I don't think I know it's not going to happen.
No, it can't. There's too much money in electronics.
Yes. Yeah. There's too much money in the industry. And it's like I say, it's you can't just hold back technology. I mean, you can to a certain point, but you can't, it's like anything, guys that were triangulating position and then GPS came out, right? Then down imaging and side imaging, and, what gets me is you had guys like Patrick Walters and Brandon Polinick that were winning tournaments with forward-facing sonar in bass, and nobody was saying boo about it until it seems like this year when these 10 rookies came in, and I don't want to say dominating, but doing very well.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
all of a sudden now it seems to have become a big problem.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And Off the Hook Outdoors says, "What's going on, everyone?" Well, we're just having a discussion. Would you believe we're 52 minutes into this program?
50 minutes in, we got sidetracked a little bit, I think, on the Elite Series and what's going on with that.
That's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah. Hey, whatever we decide to talk about, that's fine with me. That's fine with me. I talk about electronics and power poles and lithium batteries all day long. So sometimes it's nice to talk about a little something different, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Off the Hook Outdoors says, "I would throw a big musky bait to the pros forward-facing sonar, so I think it's a big bass." He also says, "I think the way to compete with the big bags is they need to allow a slot size that you're allowed to keep and use weighing fish in that slot. It's the only way to combat that big bag weight." I don't think they want that. I think people want to see big bags.
People do want to see big bags. I think, nobody has fun. I remember Forest Wood Cup way back when it was the Forest Wood Cup, which at that, they want to say it's like comparable to a classic, which nothing is comparable to the classic, but for FLW, that was their classic, so to speak. But I remember it was a struggle to even catch 3 fish, 9 pounds. Even the elites go to places like the Red River and things like that. I mean, it's just it's not a fun event for the pros. It's not a fun event for the spectators watching it. And people can say what they want about forward-facing sonar, but let's face it. I mean, the Lake Fork tournament was an exciting tournament to watch. I mean, you watching guys catching 8s, 9s, 10-pound, 11-pound bass. I mean, that's enjoyable to watch. The St. Lawrence, when you guys see guys catching 6-pound smallmouth and watching them jump on camera, that's exciting to watch. Nobody wants to see a guy on live struggling to catch 3 to 5 fish that maybe weigh 9 or 10 pounds.
Yeah.
See, I would like to see, like, going along with Michael Hunt says, he put less weight this year due to launching out of Waddington. You're still going to get the Johnsons. They know how to run the river. They're going to go.
Oh, you're not. No offense. I mean, I'll comment on that. You're not going to see any less weight running out of Waddington than you are running out of Clayton. Those guys will make, that run from Waddington. I made it one time with marshalling with David Fritz, and I believe it's like a 90-mile run or an 85-mile run from Waddington to there. These guys won't think nothing of running another 20 miles out into Lake Ontario. They only need an hour and a half to fish. That's all they need. Yeah. So you're still going to see the same weights running into Waddington, as from Clayton. It's going to be no different. The only difference maybe in weights you will see is if they had a tournament out of Waddington and once again they closed like they used to. They closed the lake, was off limits. Then you might see the weights go down a little. But no, you're still going to see mega weights even out of Waddington, no matter whether it's Waddington or Clayton.
Yeah, go out of Waddington and shut it off at the bridge.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That would be an interesting tournament.
Yeah. Because I don't think anybody fishes towards Waddington anymore. And Barking Ruger says, just because they're rookies doesn't mean they don't have 5 full-time fishing experience with the electronics. Not to mention, like you said earlier, most of them have been fishing for years.
Absolutely. And Garrett Paquette just had a quote. I shared it on my Instagram. I forgot what it said, and it more or less was like, everybody's ragging on these rookies, but it's just, maybe it's the fact that they've been grooming themselves to be a professional angler their whole life.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they've had that opportunity to do that. They've had YouTube to teach them. They've had, you know, all of the tools available that weren't available to, say, the older guys. And it's just making them into just a better class of fishermen. They're more experienced when they get there. You know, they don't need that 10 years of experience, you know, on the Elite Series or, you know, whatever. They're already very experienced. I mean, you even see it now when, you know, you get the Elite Series guys step down into the opens, you know, you would expect them to dominate. And, you know, for the most part, they don't, right? All right. Scott won the first event, you know, on Lake Okeechobee, obviously. But, you know, like I say, I think you're seeing a different class of guys in the opens. I think probably any one of the top 30 to 40 guys in the opens could be very successful on the Elite Series.
Absolutely.
Especially with the EQ.
Yeah.
Especially with the EQ. And that's what I mean. Now with what the EQ has done, you're just getting a more well-rounded, you know, fisherman. And then those, you know, 9 guys, and then the 10th guy that, you know, obviously makes it through the nation. You know, those, let's just call it the 9 guys from the EQs. They are ready. They proved it, that they ran that gauntlet and that they're good fishermen. You know, and honestly, the 10 rookies, you know, 3 years from now, the rookies that are currently the rookies on the Elite Series, they're going to have to watch out for their positions with the, you know, now we've got 40 guys in there, say, and you know, or 30 new guys in 3 years that are coming into the Elite Series. You know, some of them guys got to watch out for some of these guys too in the opens.
Oh, of course. I mean, you look at the opens. Who was it? Bobby Lane, who tried it last year and then went back to the MLF, or Chris, one of the two.
Yes.
Ish Monroe, he's been doing it a couple years.
Unfortunately, it was Kyle that made Bobby Lane have to go back to the MLS, but he was Bobby just got edged out by Kyle.
Yeah, that's terrible. But hey, there's cutoffs everywhere.
There's like I said, there's cutoffs everywhere. I know Kyle Austin. It came down to, you know, Kyle Austin had a 5-pounder hooked right at the end of that tournament at Harris. And had he landed that fish, he'd be in the Elite Series, and Kyle Patrick wouldn't be. So, I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes.
Yeah. And Barking Rugers, today's high school angler, graduates with a ton of experience, arguably on par with touring anglers in the past.
Absolutely. And then, you know, like I say, from the business, getting back to like the business aspect of this, you know, you're getting the EQs has brought now, you know, we're getting Fox Sports on every tournament now. So they're getting more coverage. You're getting more sponsors that want to be involved with open anglers. So when those open anglers are now getting to the Elite Series, you know, most of them aren't really struggling money wise. And that's also, you know, not having that pressure as far as struggling money wise, you're fishing freer at that as well.
Yes.
You know, where it was always, you know, those guys that made it through a region, those guys were all working full-time jobs or whatever. And that boom, hey, oh my gosh, I made it to the Elite Series. Okay. now what do I do? You know, where do I come up with, you know, roughly 80 grand a year, with travel expenses and entry fees and all of that? Where do I come up with that type of money and not being able to work from January through August?
Right. I mean,
I'm not going to February through August, you know?
Yeah, I'm not going to name drop, but we heard a guy this year complaining about the struggles of being an elite or a first, second year professional elite fisherman. You
Absolutely. know? I mean, we could say his name. I mean, Jacob's fishing very well this year. You know, he's actually, I think he's, I don't know, 9th or something for AOI right now. He's sitting. Actually right before I got on, I watched his video, you know, with his cost breakdowns, and you know, he's doing very well. He actually, you know, through his exposure of you know, what he did and the industry and how he thought it was supposed to be, and he's picked up sponsorship. You know, and like I say, Jacob's fishing very well this year. So you know, kudos to him.
Yes. And that's the one thing that people didn't, you know, they want to make it. They want to make it there. They want to make it there. But once they get there, then what? You know, well, like with them, you know,
exactly that. Like you say, then what? Then what? You know, what do I do? How do you know? I'm struggling. I have to make a cut. I need that $10,000 check. Where you know, I'll be honest. I don't think these 10 rookies are that reliant upon it like it used to be. They're going into the Elite Series pretty well sponsored. You know, and then that's because of the exposure through the EQs. And now, you know, the companies see a return on investment by sponsoring Opens anglers. You know, there's more opportunities there for Opens guys as far as sponsorship goes. And that's because they made it the EQs, and obviously they gave them the promotion of on Fox Sports 1.
Yeah. And let's face it, you're not fishing all the EQs and not having some sort of backing.
Oh yeah.
No, and that's the other thing too, is that's, you know, to fish all 9 EQs, you're looking at, I know a couple guys that do it, you're in about the $60,000 range, and that's not living high on the hog either.
Yeah.
You know. So
all right.
Absolutely.
Well, is there any other questions for Kevin? Kevin,
yes, on electronics or equipment, or not how MLF or the EQs or the Opens work, or you know, about the elites. But yeah,
no, I agree. I agree with you. I think the major levels need to put limitations on it. On the electronic side, for sure. And I think you're going to see it coming. I think next year we may see exactly what I said we should see is screen limitation, amount of inches, and then a reduction in the amount of transducers on the. And
me and John was talking about that they're mandating all the boaters take a boater safety class or boater class for next year.
Right.
So they're Bass making the right move, I think.
Yep. I mean, Bass is always going to be a leader, I think, in the industry. I think it's, you know, Bass is where it'll start, and then it'll trickle down, you know. Whether MLF does anything with it, I have no idea. I think they might be afraid to make any more, but who knows? Maybe, you know, with MLF it could be, you know, this year we're allowed 1, next year we're allowed 3, the year after we're back to 1.
Off the Hook Outdoor says, Kevin, how do you feel about Sven Sonar Enhancer bait pop? If you're familiar with that.
Bait pop. So I personally would like to get some and try it. I haven't tried it personally. I've talked to a lot of guys that use it. And they've all, and these are guys that I know, so they're not, you know, it's not like when you talk to a sponsored guy who's, you know, say sponsored by Bait Pop or whatever, they're going to tell you, you know, what you think you want to hear. It's actually what they hear. It does make it show better on your forward facing sonar. And then obviously, you know, any type of attractant, you know, is beneficial, I think, for sure. So yeah, I mean, I'm a strong believer in Bait Pop, even though I haven't used it. I got to actually order myself some.
Yeah, I've heard of crappie guys actually like coloring their lines with it, and they say the lines show up better. I've heard of that.
Yeah, 100%. I've heard guys run 12 inches up the line so that way, their line they see better on forward facing as well.
Yeah.
All right, so Kevin, probably the most difficult question you're going to get tonight. Before
I was, it's funny, John, because I was like all nervous about this because I'm like, as much as I know about the electronics industry and keeping up with it is very difficult because obviously always new technology coming out and, what's the screen resolution on this unit compared to this unit and how do I hook this transducer and is this compatible and how do I Ethernet this? I was kind of nervous about being on, getting questions and maybe some of them I actually couldn't answer, but it's been a little refreshing. I haven't even gotten any questions that pretty much relate to electronics or anything like that. So no lithium questions, no nothing. But yeah, so
I was completely shocked about the lithium, not having any questions about it.
I am too, because that's that's a big deal now. That's also right now. I mean, our number one sellers are pretty much lithium, and obviously LiveScope, and Garmin units. Obviously, new trolling motors too. Obviously, the Quest has been a good seller. The Move has been an okay seller. I think the price point of the Move maybe holding a little people back, but those have been really good. But yeah, lithium. We get questions. And funny, it's probably the most questions we get on things that I have to actually sit down and talk to people about is lithium. Okay. So I kind of expected a ton of lithium questions, but
I do have a question about lithiums.
Sure.
Okay. So, I know boats are made. Well, they have been made in the past to have the batteries, and they took
lead batteries
consideration. The weight of the batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think boat manufacturers are starting or going to lean towards building boats built around the lithium weight?
I believe they are. Everything with a bass boat is about balance.
Correct.
It's basically a fulcrum, and that's what you're working with. So in the addition to where everybody is going to go to lithium, boat manufacturers are going to have to start looking at ways to move the weight around, whether that be to go and start moving their fuel tanks further back in the boat, things like that. But yeah, they're definitely are going to be looking. I'm sure Rick Pierce from Bass Cat is already on top of it. Because it's like you say, you're taking all of that weight. Those boats were designed to run with that transom weight in there, and then when you take that transom weight out, it's just a matter of rebalancing the boat at that point. Everybody. One of the big things everybody says is, "Oh, I want to go to lithium to make my boat go faster." And in most cases, when you go to lithium, you'll actually either stay the same speed or you'll lose speed. And it's because you're losing that weight. But what I refer to everybody is it's just like drag racing. The same car that gets the same traction and has the same horsepower, the lighter car is ultimately going to go faster. So a properly set up boat with lithium in it has the potential to go faster. It's just a matter of repositioning that weight. So if you take that boat and you take all that weight out of the rear, you put lithiums in, now you're going to have to start taking your tackle out of the front, and maybe it's inconvenient to have it in the back. But if you want to keep that performance and gain performance, you need to take that tackle out of the front and put it in the rear. So now you're getting your bow lift and your weight's back in the back. But at the end of the day, your boat is 200 pounds lighter, and you will be able to make it go faster.
Yep.
So you put a spare trolling motor back there.
The problem is you can't fit anything back there. It's funny because just the other day on my own personal boat, I was looking at it and I was like, in New York, we have to carry an anchor and we have to carry a certain amount of rope. And I was looking at my anchor, and my anchor was in my port side box, and I was like, so I looked at it and I was like, ooh, let me see if I stick that 25 pounds right in the center of the back, right by my charger and my power pole pumps, and let me see how my boat reacts, you know? So like I say, it's about moving that weight around. You know, unfortunately, it would be nice to keep that spare trolling motor, you know, in the back there. But there's, you know, now with the advent, yes, we're going lithium and we're going with, say, twin 36s versus 312s, or even a single 36 volt with 312s. The problem is guys are going dedicated electronics batteries. So, you know, space is getting limited. Obviously, the power pole one pump system now helps out with that. We get rid of a power pole pump, so that frees up room. Obviously, we went from 2 strokes to 4 strokes. We got rid of an oil tank. That freed up some room. But it seems like graphs are getting bigger and everything's getting bigger and more power consumption. So we're filling up that rear transom, even though with more lithiums. You know. So as more as we're getting rid of things to make room, we're making room for more batteries.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're just going to put a solar cell on top of the motor.
Pretty soon. I don't even know. Like, I mean, grass, like when we sell, you know, guys will call me up and they say, hey, I have, you know, I have 2 Helix 10s. I run a 12 Garmin and I run another 10 Garmin. You know, what size battery do I need? I want to go to a dedicated electronics battery. And I say to them, I said, what you have to think about is not what you have now, but what you might have in the future, because you're buying a 10 to 15 year battery. So when you think in those terms, graphs, I mean, 10 years ago, a 5 to 7 inch graph was a big graph.
Oh yeah.
Right. Now we're seeing, you know, on the NBT side of things, we've got 22s, right? You know, we've got 19s, we've got 16s, you know, that's a big graph. So 5 to 10 years from now, you know, now the screen limitation thing could change the way the industry looks at that and things. But just looking at it right now, you have to look at, you know, you're probably, if you're running, say, 310s and a 9, you're probably going to wind up going to 412s at some point, right? Because 412s is realistic in my book. So you want to set yourself up with enough power for when you upgrade, because you don't want to buy that lithium battery and then 2 years you outgrew it. So that's kind of where I go with my customers, is try to look at what you got now. I figure their amp per hour usage out. I tell them what battery they fit into now, and then usually I like to bump them up to the next size battery. You know, or I talk to them about what their future plans might be. You know, some of them are like, hey man, I only keep this boat 2 years and then my lithiums are getting sold with it, so I don't really care. Just give me what I need, you know, to go 10 hours now. You know, whereas other guys, you know, say, hey, I just bought this boat. So last bass boat I'm going to buy, I'm going to keep it for 15 years. I'm going to say, well, that's great. I can put a battery in there. It's going to last you 15 years. But I know in those 15 years, you're going to upgrade graphs. So let's plan for the future, so that way we don't outgrow that battery.
Yeah. Off the Hook Outdoors wants to know your personal opinion on the best lithium batteries.
My personal opinion on the best lithium batteries, that's a very easy one for me. I'm a little different than most companies out there. Most of these companies you'll see, and this is a kind of a big pet peeve thing with me, is they're selling multiple brands of lithiums. And people say to me, well, you sell multiple brands of trolling motors, you sell multiple brands of shallow water anchors. You got to understand, these lithium companies, for the most part, are small companies. They work with very limited advertising budgets, maybe outside of Dakota. You know, so when you're selling multiple brands of, say, trolling motors, right? You have Garmin, you have Lowrance, you have PowerPole, you have Minn Kota. You know, they're putting out there, you know, all of the information about the trolling motor and the features and all of that. And, you know, it's backed by those big companies. Whereas lithium, right, you're relying more on your dealer to tell you what the best brand of lithium is out there. So when you're a dealer and you're selling multiple brands of lithiums, I can't really wrap my head around that. I sell one brand of lithium. And I believe it is the best lithium on the market. It's the best built lithium. It's the best customer service. It's the best, if there is a problem, getting you a new battery shipped out and getting you back on the water fast. And that would be Powerhouse Lithium. So to answer your question, what do I feel is the best lithium out there? 100% would be Powerhouse Lithium for sure. You know, I always say I won't sell something unless I would personally use it on my own boat. And my own personal boat has Powerhouse Lithium in it.
Oh, so you're not getting the Walmart Everstarts?
No Walmart Everstarts for me. Not that they're a bad battery. I think Walmart Everstart's a great battery for that price point, but they're not, they're not a lithium. And once you go lithium, I don't think you can ever go back.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I messed myself up asking you about the Everstart battery.
Like I say, Everstart, honestly, in the cheap lead acid game, I don't really think you can beat an Everstart battery, be honest with you. I used to be an Interstate dealer years ago, and Interstates just went downhill. Interstates used to be I never thought they were a great marine battery. I think they were great automotive batteries at one time. I just don't think they're good in general at all anymore. But, like I say, Walmart Everstart batteries are like, they're cheap, fairly cheap. They work. And then if you have a problem, I mean, there's a Walmart everywhere. To get a new one. And from what I understand is like, it's like Walmart returning anything at Walmart. I mean, you go into Walmart and say you got a bad battery. I think half the time they just like, okay, go get another one,
bring that one in and we'll get you a new one.
Yeah. They're not load testing it to really find out if there even is a problem. Maybe the question, what's the best cheap lead acid battery? I don't think you can beat a Walmart Everstart. What's the best lithium battery? I believe personally, if you're asking my personal opinion, 100% it's Powerhouse.
Yeah. To spin off your one, that same question with multiple batteries having multiple lithium brands, the one
yes.
you as a seller, you picked the one with the highest margin.
And what's funny is I don't, and I'm sure that that is what guys do. I approach business. I think that's why I'm successful. I approach business a lot different, I think, than most people, right? I'm a fisherman. I'm a tournament fisherman. It's what I've loved to do since I was 5 years old. And I just look at helping people and putting people in the best possible equipment that they can buy for their money. And if that means that I make a 10% profit margin on that particular product, I would rather sell my customer a quality product that I make 10% on than a product that's I know is not as good of quality and I make a 40% margin on.
Yeah.
To me, business isn't all about money.
No.
Yep.
And most people might find that a little weird, but I don't. And I think that's what's made me successful in business and what's grown my company as fast as it has, because I mean, we're 100% growth year after year after year. It's
awesome.
been astonishing to me, but we do it through customer service. And then, like I say, when a customer calls me, like they're calling me and they asking me what the best lithium battery is, right? I'm not selling 3 different brands and pushing them to the one that has the highest margin. They know when they call me that I'm confident enough in that product of lithium that that's what I'm going to sell them.
Yeah.
And like I say, I've been approached by a couple different lithium companies to carry their brand, and they have better margins than Powerhouse, and I won't do it because I'm very well versed with those companies and how they treat their customers, how, their warranties work, things like that. And I don't want to put my customers into those batteries.
Yeah, understand. Off the Hook Outdoor says, thank you for the info, Kevin. And,
Absolutely.
He comes up with, I've had all kinds of acid batteries. They never start.
Never starts. He calls them never starts.
Never start. Here's the thing. Here's the thing I see all the time, especially now in the lithium world, is guys will go out and they'll spend $80,000 on a boat and $30,000 in electronics, and then they want to know what out of the Amazon brand lithiums are the best lithiums to put in their boat. The batteries in a boat are the heart of the boat.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
what everything stems off of. And if you're going to spend good money on anything, it should be your batteries. And, it's some of these Amazon lithium batteries. I know they're cheap. I know what it costs to build a quality lithium, have it imported from China, get it here, and then, have a dealer network in the United States that's going to take care of their customer. You can't, they're building, whether they say these are grade A cell batteries or not, and I know a lot of them advertise them, I can tell you just by the price point that they are not a grade A lithium cell battery. You're getting B cells. B cells are going to give you voltage spikes. Voltage spikes are not great for electronics. I'm not going to flat out say this brand of lithium is going to damage your electronics, but you're taking a risk when you've got $30,000 worth of electronics on your boat and the things are getting voltage spikes. And it happens.
Oh yeah.
I go through this all the time. I fight this argument in forums all the time. I'm very proactive in forums, and most of the people that know my company know I am. And you get what you pay for with lithium.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you're gonna,
I'll leave it at that. And too often I hear all they are is the same battery. They're made in China. They just slap a different label on it, and the case is a different color, but it's all the same battery. And that couldn't be further from the truth. It's the components that go into the battery, how that pack is made, what type of cells are used. There's different levels of BMSs, battery management system. That's the brain behind the lithium battery, what controls everything. There's different price points of that. So, it's like I say to people, well, I can go on and I can buy a freaking 10-ball bearing reel off of Temu that costs $29, or I can buy a quality bait caster for $3.99. Do you believe you're really buying the same level of quality on a $29 Temu bait caster as you are in a $399 or $4.99 Daiwa Luz? Any of those? You're not getting the same. Yes, they're both bait casters, but that's where it ends.
Yeah.
And it's the same. It's no different with lithium.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna end the comments with this one. Kevin has a great customer service. He got a scope and battery from him, helped him out a lot.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your business. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
We do have a pretty cool deal. If I talk about some of our things we got going on. So we've got a great deal. We've got a great deal on LVS 34. If you buy an LVS 34 from us, we give you a 12-volt, 30-amp-hour Powerhouse lithium and a charger. That's the normal retail of $229.99 for the battery and charger. Yep. We give that to you for $25 when you buy an LVS 34 with a GLS 10 from us. So awesome. We're basically essentially giving you that battery for next to nothing. So that's been a great deal through us. I think it's one of the best live scope deals out there. but we have also too, you buy Ultrex Quest from us. We have accessories that go with the Ultrex Quest. So the clip and keeper set for your live scope transducer, as well as the adapter. We give those to you for free when you buy a Quest from us. So always price us. Don't just go by the prices on the website, because like I say, a lot of times we develop products that go with other products. And because they're our own products, we're permitted to give those away, or give those for very low pricing when you buy items from us. Power poles, you buy power poles from us. We throw in an anchor light for free. So as long as we're not, going against, MRP with a lot of these companies, if we try to develop products that go along with the products that are our own, so that way we're able to give back to the customer, and then also keep obviously our companies happy by not voiding, their violating their MRP.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. I do have one last question. It has nothing to do with electronics or boats. What's your favorite homemade cookie?
Favorite homemade cookie? Peanut butter.
There you go. Awesome.
Peanut butter for sure.
Nah.
For sure.
Old school.
You thought I was gonna say? You thought I was gonna say chocolate chip or what? That's just too generic.
No, the other one.
Actually, I thought you were like a snickerdoodle.
A snickerdoodle? Honestly, John, I don't think I've ever eaten a snickerdoodle cookie. It sounds good, but I don't think I've ever eaten
I hadn't
a
either.
snickerdoodle cookie.
No,
Yeah, I hadn't either.
I
So
like.
I don't know.
You know what? I love those peanut butter cookies that got like the Hershey Kiss in the middle of them.
Okay.
Exactly. Those are awesome.
No,
Those are awesome.
My wife has about 4 dozen peanut butter.
I used to work at a printing company years ago, and when I worked there, a girl used to make the best cookies. And she'd give us a tin of them at Christmas, and they were those peanut butter cookies with the Hershey Kiss in them, and they were literally to die for.
Man, nothing wrong with that.
Well, next time I'm running a camera boat and you see me, John, I'll expect a tin of snickerdoodle cookies to try.
You won't, because I don't like them.
Oh, okay. All right. No, I'm not a snickerdoodle guy.
Yeah.
We ain't either.
Hey, I just want to thank you from my heart for coming on. I appreciate it. We did go down a few rabbit holes.
Absolutely. Yeah, we went through a few rabbit holes. We definitely went in a different direction than I thought we were going to be, but certainly can always have me back on, and maybe we can talk electronics and lithiums and trolling motors and things like that. But yeah, no, it was enjoyable being on. Like I say, it's kind of a little refreshing to actually get to talk about something other than what I do all day. But
there you go.
All right. Well, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. And good luck to Kyle and Tyler this year on the Elites.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Wishing Kyle and Tyler luck tomorrow. 2 of my Elite Series anglers that we sponsor. So, good luck to them. Hopefully big bags. No shoes equals big bags, right?
That's right. Every time.
Shoeless?
Yeah. Tyler's shoeless and Kyle's shoeless. Yeah.
Hey, maybe something to it.
Somehow I got involved with the 2 guys that wear no shoes. Maybe it's a trend. Maybe I just got to look for anglers to sponsor who wear no shoes. Maybe that's what it is.
Shoes optional. Shoes optional.
There you go.
Shoes optional. Shoes are optional. Yeah.
Now,
I know they did. I know Bass actually Bass actually told Kyle that if he comes on stage with no shoes, he's going to get fined. So they did put a ixnay to that. I know in the opens, they let him come in and weigh in on stage with no shoes. I don't know as if Tyler wears them, on his boat, he wears no shoes, but I'm pretty sure he used to throw a set of flip flops on when he came on stage. Kyle always used to, they even used to make a big thing out of it when he used to go up. They used to say, "Oh yeah, well, he always comes on stage with no shoes." But I think the first Elite Series event, Lisa had a talk with Kyle and said, I don't know whether it's an OSHA deal or what, but they told him that if he comes on stage with no shoes, he'll be fine. So obviously nobody wants to give up their hard-earned money. So.
No, I don't blame you there.
Yeah.
He's like, that's okay.
I know he did have to. I think he had to borrow a pair of sandals from one of his marshals in order to go weigh in because he had no shoes in his boat that day.
Hey. Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, hey, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate.
Hey, man, superstitions are where it's at. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah, like bananas in the boat, no go.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No bananas in the boat. No shoes on the feet. Got to wear the same hat. Whatever helps you to catch fish, that's what you need to do.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about. All right, buddy. Well, hey, you take care.
Well, thank you, guys.
All right.
I enjoyed being on. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, man. A lot of good info. We appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yes.
Buddy.
Nice meeting you, Rob. Thanks, John.
All right, man. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
buddy. Man, that guy knows his stuff, brother.
He does. He does.
Yeah. Cool guy, man. We got to have him on. But that's pretty cool what he's saying about the future. I was kind of curious what he's saying about the future, what he sees about the radar coming up.
Yeah, I will. All right, so we apologize, everybody, keeping you late. It's past. I'm sure it's past your bedtime, us old men. So.
No, I'll be up a while. The storm's rolling, so I'll be up for a while.
All right. Well, everybody take care and see you guys next week.
Peace out.